Carlson's here with all the day's top stories. Marcus, starting off in China and concerns of a real economic slowdown.
Yes, indeed. Fresh figures suggest that growth in the world's second biggest economy is stuttering. China's Prime Minister has conceded that there are severe challenges ahead. Speaking in Beijing, Li Keqiang said he worries more about jobs than hitting this year's growth target, though. As Delana D'Souza explains, the Premier may soon be put to the test.
Favouring jobs over economic growth, China's premier indicated Beijing would tolerate falling below the 7.5% GDP target for 2014. The government wants to create 10 million jobs this year, and it says the economy must achieve a growth rate of 7.2%, indicating China's economy would only be allowed to slip so far.
We will not pursue GDP growth above anything else. The GDP growth we want should benefit the people, help increase the quality and efficiency of economic development, and contribute to energy conservation and environmental protection.
China's economy is seen to have had a relatively rough start to the year. Newly released data shows investment, industrial production and retail sales grew at a slower pace for the first 2 months of 2014, raising concerns that the world's fastest growing economy is in risk of slowing. Some analysts believe that without the necessary stimulus measures by the government, it will not achieve its growth target. However, its recent actions indicate it plans on taking a step back. Last week, the government refrained from rescuing the struggling solar company Chari from making a payment on its debt, a move signalling further defaults would be allowed.
Now, the fears of a Chinese slowdown have weighed on stocks all week, and Thursday was no exception. If we take a look at Thursday's close in the United States, you'll see there that the Dow has closed down for a fourth consecutive session. The Nasdaq and the S&P 500 also took a hit. It was a similar negative picture in Europe at the close. Slowing growth prospects in China are very much in focus, with the Frankfurt DAX closing down almost 1.9%. There are also jitters about the situation in Ukraine. Investors, they're watching the standoff between the West and Russia over Ukraine very, very closely. And if we look at some of the latest developments, the German Chancellor Angela Merkel has turned up the heat on Russia. Speaking in the German parliament on Thursday, she said Russia would pay a heavy price unless the Kremlin agrees to talks over Crimea's future. Merkel said EU leaders are prepared to freeze bank accounts held by Russians abroad and also impose travel restrictions. In another development, Austria has arrested a Ukrainian oligarch with links to Russia. Dmitry Firtash is one of Ukraine's richest men, and he owns gas, media and banking businesses. Austrian police acted on an arrest warrant issued by the Federal Bureau of Investigation over in the United States. The oligarch's group calls it a misunderstanding without links to the wider diplomatic context. Some analysts say it's an American signal that the net is tightening around Russian interests. We are going to turn to the Eurozone next. The European Commission has told Italy to stick to its budget commitments. The warning comes after Italy's Prime Minister announced sweeping tax and spending cuts on Thursday. Matteo Renzi wants to reduce income and business taxes to boost the Italian economy, and he did that on Wednesday, of course, not on Thursday. The Commission says, though, that Italy has high debts and needs to focus on balancing the budget.
Italy is in the preventive arm of the Stability and Growth Pact, which means that it is required to focus on achieving its medium-term objective of a balanced budget in structural terms, and linked to this to respecting the debt rule.
Now, the bidding war over the French mobile network operator SFR is heating up. If we take a closer look at that story, there are two suitors and both have sweetened their bids. French newspapers say Altice has raised its cash offer from 10.9 to 11.7 billion euros. Altice is the majority owner of cable company Numericable and wants it to join forces with SFR. The other suitor, Bouygues, has also raised its cash offer from 10.5 to 11.3 billion euros. The board of SFR's owner, Vivendi, will meet on Friday to review the bids. Looking at other corporate news, 20 years after opening for business, Eurotunnel says it's finally satisfied with its financial situation. The operator of the tunnel underneath the English Channel has reported a net profit of 101 million euros for 2013. That's 3 times higher than for 2012. Eurotunnel says both freight and passenger traffic through the railway tunnel grew last year. And if you've ever scrambled to find a charger to go with your mobile phone, this may offer some relief. The European Union has taken a step towards standardizing phone chargers worldwide. The European Parliament voted for the move on Thursday. It's now up to the Commission to decide what this universal charger will eventually look like. The legislation is supposed to take effect in 3 years' time. I don't know about you, Laura, but I certainly have scrambled around to find the right chargers a few times
Especially
before.
when you go country to country. I think that sounds like a brilliant idea.
Yes, it sounds pretty clever. We'll see what happens when it becomes reality, if it becomes reality.
Yeah, absolutely. Marcus, thanks very much indeed. Marcus Carlson there with the business. Well, we're going to take a short break and we're going to leave you with what's got people clicking, sharing and liking over the past 24 hours. It's Web News.